Good morning and welcome to Rising. Thank you for tuning in. How was your weekend, Jessica?
It was good. It was restful. I have a dog that I'm responsible for, and we went for a nice walk through Rock Creek Park. It was lovely. How was your weekend?
That is lovely. I built some new furniture, doing some redecorating in the apartment. So I got a new couch, new armchair, really exciting stuff.
That is. We're moving up in the world.
We're moving up. And I like that we're doing a kind of red and blue America to get into this very political week with the Democratic National Convention about to unfold. We have some on-the-ground reporting from what's happening there. But first, let's talk about Vice President Kamala Harris.
It turns out there is a plan. Vice President Kamala Harris unveiled her sweeping economic plan on Friday. She vowed to ease inflation, fix the housing market, and slash taxes for middle-income families. If elected, the Veep's proposal would include a $25,000 subsidy for first-time home buyers, $6,000 tax credit, and a ban on price gouging. Here she is in Raleigh, North Carolina, where she's announced her proposal. Let's watch.
Our country has come a long way since President Biden and I took office. At that time, we sadly remember the millions of Americans that were out of work. We were facing one of the worst economic crises in modern history. And today, by virtually every measure, our economy is the strongest in the world. As president, I will be laser focused on creating opportunities for the middle class that advance their economic security, stability, and dignity. Together, we will build what I call an opportunity economy.
Opportunity economy. Well, Harris is getting dragged over this new economic plan, with critics citing the plan to expand the CTC and boost subsidies. They say it will have an adverse effect. Here's Shark Tank judge Kevin O'Leary, and chairman of O'Leary Ventures, blasting her economic proposals.
Let's take her price gouging idea first. They tried that in Venezuela, Cuba, North Korea, the USSR. No, that's not going to work. It's impossible to understand how a corporation would set pricing based on gouging. What does that even mean? That's why it's being ridiculed. But I cut her a wide berth. She's not answering reporters' questions, and she's got great momentum. So throw anything at the wall you want, free money for everybody. That's what every politician does, but it has no merit in reality.
New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu was less than impressed as well. Let's watch.
This whole idea that inflation was driven by price gouging, that's a bunch of nonsense, that the government's going to control prices to solve it. I just heard Hakeem Jeffries say that her plan is the American way. It's one of the most un-American plans that has ever been proposed. Free markets, entrepreneurship, competitiveness. Her plan would crush all of that, right? So let's do those things that got us.
The Washington Post editorial board also called the plan a gimmick, writing, quote, Vice President Kamala Harris's speech Friday was an opportunity to get specific with voters about how a Harris presidency would manage an economy that many feel is not working well for them. Unfortunately, instead of delivering a substantial plan, she squandered the moment on populist gimmicks. Now, Harris's plan comes as more polls appear to be in her favor. Latest new polling from NBC News Washington Post Ipsos poll found that Harris has 49% of support among registered voters, compared to Trump's 45%. 5% said they would back someone else. But when it comes to handling the economy, Trump tops Harris. The same poll found he's leading on the economy. Many voters who are already having a negative view of it, 61 to 33%. Among those who rate the economy positively, Harris is with 89% to 8% there. So that's the fundamental contradiction we're dealing with. The election is very close. Kamala Harris up a little bit in the key swing states. Winning in some way, but on this most important issue, the economy, voters do trust Trump more. Do you think these plans that she's proposed that, conservatives are attacking, but are they going to win bring in undecided independent people?
I think they could. I mean, J.D. Vance talking about making it easier economically to start a family, him talking about child tax credits, her proposal, the $6,000 child tax credit specifically, I think is one that it's shocking. They're responding like, oh, this is crazy populism. But when J.D. Vance talked about it, it wasn't news. This idea that her proposal is somehow economically irresponsible, what is the government supposed to do in a free market society? There would be no market if there were not a government enforcing the existence of a market and the economy. It's their responsibility to make rules and regulations to establish a market in the first place. And so I think, hearing O'Leary talk about it as if this is some kind of, economic collapse that's imminent, what are we doing now when we have corporations charging prices that are so high, everyday working people can't afford them? That's why people are afraid of Venezuela, because everyday people can't afford necessary goods. That's the situation we're in today in the United States of America.
Well, let's talk about a couple of these proposals because I think they vary, in how strong and weak they are. So the child tax credit, you're right, is something that many Republicans have supported as well.
Yeah.
The case for it is that while many things in our society have actually become more affordable over time, electronic goods in particular, labor-intensive services that families have to disproportionately rely on, like getting child care, paying for education, those sorts of things, have gotten a lot more expensive. So you need to give families a break, they need some kind of tax credit. I would rather lower everyone's tax burden rather than specifically families, so I don't love the proposal, but I think it makes more sense than some of the others. The price gouging thing, I know we disagree on. I think, banning price gouging has not worked in the past. And also the profits, there's astronomical profits in sectors like the pharmaceutical industry, for instance. In the grocery industry, the profit margins are like 2%. So I don't, inflation has driven up the price of everything, but I don't know how much price gouging is going on. Then the craziest policy, to my view, was the housing policy. $25,000 for first-time home buyers. So that's going to subsidize demand for housing. We don't have a demand problem. We have a supply problem. We have a shortage of housing, not everywhere in the country, but in a lot of places people want to live, like, for instance, California. So just encouraging more people to buy houses is going to make the problem worse because we have a supply problem, not a problem with not enough people want to try to buy houses. That would drive up the price of houses even more if you incentivize more people to try to buy. So I don't understand that plan at all, and that one got a lot of negative attention.
So, that plan's pretty obvious to me as with parents who have bought a home in the past 3 years. So in North Carolina specifically, I believe it was the year 2022, but in recent years, we're seeing investors purchasing homes. As much as 30% of all home sales are investors who are paying full cash up front. And that's increasing the prices of homes and inflating the price of homes because if you're a company like Zillow, what they've done is they've seen this market where investors are willing to put up the capital and pay for a home in full cash. They will purchase, let's say, 4 homes and then maybe for $200,000, sell the first 2 for $400,000, or rather the first one for $200,000, the second one for $300,000. Now they've inflated the price of a home in the neighborhood, and now they're going to profit on the next 2 homes that they sell because they've artificially increased the prices. That's what we're seeing in the investing home market. That's why we're seeing incredible housing inflation. So we've got to do something about the financialization and commodification of the housing market. People just want somewhere to live. And so when you've got investors willing to put up that capital, there's got to be another way to equalize this without entirely pushing investors out, which is an option. She indicated that there would be some controls on whether or not investors would be allowed to purchase single-family homes. Corporations aren't living in those homes. They're using them to rent them out, which is then increasing rents in the area as well. So it's been kind of a mess in the housing market, an absolute free-for-all, and reining that in is necessary if we're going to keep home prices down.
All right, we'll have more analysis of the Kamala Harris economic plan coming up, and we're going to check in with the DNC. More Rising right after this.